Picking an irrigation pump, it sounds pretty straightforward, right? But honestly, it's one of the biggest decisions you can make for a farm's bottom line. I mean, if you get it right, you're saving water, energy, and money. But if you get it wrong, whoa, the cost can really spiral out of control. So today, we're going to break it all down with a super practical guide to help you make that choice and make it perfectly.
All right, so let's jump right in. First, we're going to talk about the high stakes, why this matters so much. Then, we'll walk through 5 really key steps. We'll start with figuring out your water needs, then move on to finding that perfect pump match. After that, we'll tackle system friction, a sneaky one, and then analyze the true cost. And finally, we'll put it all together to make the smart choice. It's a really clear roadmap to making the best investment possible.
Okay, so first things first, why does this decision carry so much weight? Well, think about it. Pumping water is one of the most energy-hungry jobs in all of agriculture, and all that energy costs a ton of money and uses up valuable resources. That makes pump efficiency, well, it's a topic with incredibly high stakes.
And to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, get this, 8,400 million. That's 8.4 times billion kilowatt hours. That's how much energy was used for irrigation pumping in India in just 1 year, and that was way back in 1973. You can only imagine how much that demand has grown since then. It just goes to show you why even a tiny improvement in efficiency, when you multiply that across millions of farms, can have an absolutely massive impact.
So, you see, this is way more than just buying a piece of equipment to move water from point A to point B. It's a huge strategic decision. The right pump helps you maximize every drop of your limited water, it slashes your energy bills, and at the end of the day, it's what makes sure your entire operation is financially viable for years to come.
Okay, let's get practical. Step 1. Before you even start browsing for pumps, you've got to answer 2 really basic but crucial questions. First, how much water do your crops need when they're at their thirstiest? And second, how much water can your well actually give you before you risk running it dry?
And right there, that's the core principle. It's this delicate balancing act. You need a pump that's strong enough to keep up during the hottest, driest part of the season, right? But you can't have one that's so powerful it sucks the well dry faster than it can refill. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster. It is all about finding that perfect, sustainable sweet spot.
And this brings up a really common dilemma, especially for smaller farms. So let's say your well has a lot of potential. Option 1, you install a big pump to match it, but you only ever use a little bit of its power. That's just a massive waste of an investment. But then there's option 2. You use that full capacity for your own farm, and then you sell the extra water to your neighbors. All of a sudden, what was a huge expense becomes a way to make money and a resource for the whole community. Pretty smart, right?
All right, now we're going to get into the slightly more technical stuff. But don't worry, I promise we'll keep it simple. This is step 2, and it's where we use data to basically play matchmaker between your well and the perfect pump. The goal is to get them working together in perfect harmony.
So first things first, you've got to understand your well's unique personality, let's call it. And the way you do that is with something called a well characteristic curve. Just think of it as your well's performance profile. It's a simple graph that answers one super important question. The more water I pump out, how fast does the water level drop? Knowing that is absolutely the key to not running your well dry. Okay, so you've got your well's profile. Next, you look at the pump's resume. Every single pump comes with these graphs from the manufacturer. They're called pump characteristic curves. They're basically the pump's spec sheet, and they tell you everything you need to know about how it performs, how much water it can move, how efficient it'll be, and exactly how much power it's going to need. This isn't just a bunch of numbers on a page. This is the crystal ball for predicting your future energy bills.
And this is where the magic happens. You literally take the graph for your well and you lay it right on top of the graphs for the pump. And you're looking for just one thing, that single solitary point where the lines cross. That little intersection, that's it. That's your system's sweet spot. It's what we call the optimal operating point.
And right there at that single point of intersection, poof, all the guesswork just vanishes. You know precisely how that specific pump is going to perform in your specific well. You get the exact discharge rate, say 31,500 liters a minute. You get the total head, its real-world efficiency, maybe 65%, and the exact horsepower it needs to run. It's all the data you need to make a truly informed decision.
Okay, on to step 3. This one's about accounting for a hidden energy thief, and its name is friction. See, we've matched the pump to the well, which is great, but every single pipe, every valve, every bend in your system, it all creates resistance.
And that means your pump has to work harder and use more energy just to push through it.
This extra energy it needs is called friction head. And the easiest way to think about it is like a tax on your power. The longer your pipes, the more bends you have, the more complex your system is, the higher that tax gets. And the more powerful your pump has to be just to do its basic job.
And look, friction doesn't come from just one place. It's a cumulative problem. It all adds up. You've got resistance from the walls of the pipes themselves, then every single bend and elbow adds a little more. Every valve you install disrupts the flow. Even the strainer and the foot valve down at the intake. It all creates drag. And you have to calculate all of this resistance and add it into your power calculations. All right, step 4. Now we're talking money. It's so easy to just look at the price tag, but you've got to think of that number as just the down payment. To make a really smart choice, you have to look at the total cost of ownership, what it's going to cost to run that pump over its entire life.
So let me ask you, what is the true cost of an irrigation pump? Is it just the price you pay on day one, or is there more to the story? I think you probably know the answer. That initial sticker price can be incredibly misleading.
Yeah, the best way to get your head around the true cost is to split it into 2 buckets. On one side, you have your fixed costs. That's the one-time stuff, like buying the pump. But on the other side, you've got the operating costs. And this is the big one. We're talking fuel or electricity, oil, maintenance, repairs, labor. These are the bills that show up every single month, year after year. And trust me, they can end up being way, way more than the initial purchase price.
And here's maybe the perfect example of this whole idea, the pipe size trade-off. Sure, you can go with smaller pipes. They're cheaper to buy, lower upfront cost, right? But they create a lot more friction. That means your pump has to work harder 24/7, and your energy bills are going to be permanently higher. But if you invest a little more upfront in larger pipes, you'll have less friction, and you will save an absolute fortune in power costs over the lifetime of that pump.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. We've talked about calculating your water needs, matching the equipment, dealing with friction, and analyzing the real cost. So now it's time for the final step, step 5, putting it all together to make the smart choice.
So this brings us back to the big question, the one that should be ringing in your head by now. After everything we've just discussed, the efficiency curves, the operating costs, the friction, is the cheapest pump on the shelf really the cheaper option in the long run? And the answer, almost every single time, is a hard no.
So to wrap it all up, here is your smart choice checklist. Number 1, remember, the best pump isn't the cheapest one. It's the most efficient one for your system. That means you've got to match it to your well's specific characteristics. Don't forget to account for all that system friction in your power calculations. And most importantly, analyze the total cost of ownership, not just the purchase price. A higher initial investment can and very often does save you a ton of money down the road. It might feel like a lot to think about, I get it, but spending a little more time and money up front to get the right equipment, well, that's one of the smartest financial decisions you can possibly make.